Hello. Hi. Yeah. Oh my god. Hi.
Hello?
Hey there.
Hello? You people are over there. So
No. Hi. Oh wow! Look what you found!
What do you mean size?
Wow. What do you mean? I don't know. Let's see. Oh no. Well.
It's my entire life.
Aw. Hi everyone! Welcome to a new Vlogmas video. I am now back home, as you can see, from this amazing trip to London. It was a very much needed break and so many incredible things happened, as you were able to see. I, of course, need to highlight the fact that I met my dear friend Julsi from Crescent Pages, and I'm saying that and yet it just doesn't feel real. We were fortunate enough to be able to spend a day together and it was the perfect day. We just went around and browsed some bookstores, which, by the way, Julsi, if you are watching this, thank you so much for showing me all of those places. I need to go back to London immediately, which I already knew because I have been to London a couple of times and it's always a magical time. There's so much to see, so much to do, but with Julsi I came to know all of those beautiful bookstores that a lot of people usually talk about and I had never been to, and it was of course an even better experience to go there with her. And yeah, we talked about everything and nothing, honestly, and it was so much fun. We had lunch at this beautiful coffee shop and it felt like we were in Gilmore Girls. I told that to Lucy immediately because there were so many beautiful trees around. They still had autumnal colors and we just got some coffee and tea, and it was just delightful. I still cannot believe this actually happened, and I will be forever grateful, of course, to BookTube for giving me this opportunity, for bringing both of us together. We have been talking for years now. We have done a couple of projects together. Right now you might know that I'm co-hosting with her and with our two beautiful friends, Milena and Sarah. We have our Hobbitses book club, which is so much fun. I always love hanging around with those girls, and to me it always feels like a dream, you know, the fact that you might eventually one day meet your online friends. And when it does happen, and this year I was even fortunate enough for it to happen twice, because previously this year I also met Sarah from Sarah the Dreamer and it still feels unreal. So just the fact that it actually happened, it was actually possible, feels absolutely surreal, but I am incredibly grateful, and it was so wonderful to spend time with Julsi. And you know, she's the Frodo to my Sam. I adore her so much and it was the perfect experience, truly. I cannot wait for the next time. I cannot wait to see her again. And I just want to, you know, thank the world for making this happen, and of course thank Julsi for this delightful day and just overall for her friendship, because it makes me so happy and I cannot imagine my life without her anymore. So there's that. So yes, definitely the highlight of my trip, but overall it was just absolutely wonderful. And of course there was also a few damage done, which is what I'm about to show you. I don't know, 15 books or so, so let's get to it. But first, of course, I need to taste this tea, which smells so good, and it is from an advent calendar that my family very kindly gifted me in London. It is from Fortnum & Mason. I looked at it and immediately fell in love, of course. So this one is ginger and Sicilian lemon, so it's probably a little spicy. It's amazing. I am always a little hesitant when it comes to lemon teas, not only because sometimes they don't really taste like lemon, but also when they do, sometimes it's a bit too much. But this one, I feel like it's in the perfect spot. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. Okay, anyway, let's get to the book haul. With no particular order, I'm just gonna show you my pile. So the first one I got was Guards by Terry Pratchett. This is a long time coming, I'm telling you. I have been meaning to read the Discworld books for a very, very, very long time. I hear incredible things about it. I know there are a lot of them, and this is all set in the same world, I believe. It is kind of a surreal fantasy series, and I'm not sure there's an actual order to reading the books. I think there are multiple options for you to start with. This is one of them that I've heard is one of the best ones, hence why I got it. It is one of those little vintage editions, and I thought this was also good for me to try it out and see if I like the author's writing style and approach to fantasy, I guess. But it is definitely one of the most well-known and well-loved series, so of course I'm very curious. This is where the dragons went. They lie, not dead, not asleep, but dormant. And although the space they occupy isn't like normal space, nevertheless they are packed in tightly. They could put you in mind of a can of sardines if you thought sardines were huge and scaly. And presumably, somewhere there's a key. I got nothing from that. I'm not sure exactly what I'm getting myself into, but I think I would like to at least try this series out next year. Also, another thing that I heard about it, which is one of the biggest reasons I have to say that I'm so curious about this series, is because Terry Pratchett apparently plays a lot with language. His sense of humor has a lot to do with how language works, and that's something that really interests me. So let me know if you are a Pratchett fan, or if you've read some of the Discworld novels, if you are a huge fan of them or not really. Then I got this stunning edition of The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I bought this one for a very specific reason. You might know, if you've been here for a while, that I love playing video games, and one of my favorites, not only games but stories of all time, is The Last of Us. And now we are getting the TV show, which is coming very soon. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I am so excited. The trailers are coming out. They look absolutely fantastic. I was looking for a few books that would give me some sort of the same vibe as The Last of Us, and surely enough, this is pretty much the only one that comes up, and it has intrigued me for a while. I believe this is a survival story between a father and a son. I know it kind of because I saw the movie, but it was years ago. I don't think it will even come close to my love for The Last of Us, but at least it will give me what I need in that moment, I think. This is also the beautiful Waterstones edition. I looked at it and knew it was the right time for me to grab it. So yes, I am hoping to read this at the start of next year, around the time when the Last of Us series comes out, because I feel like it will give me some of those same feelings that I will need for sure. During one of my beautiful adventures with Lucy, we stepped into a secondhand bookshop, which I think was the first one we visited. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this book there, because I really want to read it and it is in perfect condition. So it was clearly a sign. And that is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I know a few things about this book from how much people usually talk about it and rave about it. It has some sci-fi elements and it is supposed to be absolutely groundbreaking. Now, sci-fi is not really a genre that I usually enjoy, but this one has always intrigued me, especially because a lot of my favorite booktubers actually love this book so much, and from the way they talk about it, it sounds really appealing to me for some reason, and I think it will be some sort of a reflection about the human race and how we react to immediate danger, or when our family is in danger especially. I think it has something to do with that. But yes, it was just standing there looking stunning, and I looked at it and immediately told Lucy, I cannot believe this is here. I need it immediately. All I hear are amazing reviews about this one, and I might even pick it as an option for our Patreon book club. I think this would be a fun one to read with other people. Also a thrifted find was this stunning cover of Far from the Mating Ground by Thomas Hardy. I have been slowly collecting these thrifted editions of Thomas Hardy's books. They're just always there and I tend to grab them immediately. But funnily enough, I didn't have this one. I had a lot of his novels, but not one of the most famous ones. I think this might be following a kind of tragic love story, more specifically a love triangle, if I'm not mistaken. And of course I'm very curious because I do love Thomas Hardy's writing and how he develops his characters, particularly how he talks about their emotions and struggles in life, their inner struggles more specifically. So I'm curious to see what he would do with a story like this one, plus the way Malena talks about this book and how she thinks I'm going to love a specific character in this book, which I have no idea who that is, but I'm very curious. Now we're moving on to what can be a bit of a silly purchase, I have to admit, but I couldn't resist. But you know when you've never read any books by an author, but you just feel like you're gonna love them, you feel like they are going to become a new favorite for you? That is exactly how I feel about Joe Abercrombie. I now own the entire First Law trilogy, and this time I bought The Heroes. They actually didn't have the first book, so this is a sequel. Therefore, I cannot read anything about the synopsis, but at least I think that's a series, but correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I keep collecting his books. I still haven't read anything by him, but I do plan to very soon. In fact, I think I'm gonna try to read it this winter. It feels like a wintry read for me for some reason. But anyway, I keep collecting his books. because I think I'm gonna love them. It's a very weird feeling to have, and obviously I might be completely wrong, but I know he writes grim, dark fantasy, and apparently his characters are very bad people, and yet you still care about them and are intrigued by them because they are so well portrayed. And I personally am a very character-driven person, so if you're telling me his books have amazing characters and it is set in this very dark world where bad things happen, you might be rooting for some very morally grey people, that intrigues me a lot. So I decided to get this one because, not only because I think I will like it, but also because it is actually signed, and I think that's very fun. So hopefully I will love them. I will not buy any more of his books before I know if I actually like them, but I'm very, very convinced that I will, so it will be a bit of a disappointment if I don't. But anyway, now Lucy also made the big mistake of bringing me to Forbidden Planet, which, if you don't know, is this concept store for geeks. If you love anything from fantasy books, manga, anime, Disney, Lord of the Rings, and so on, it has so many different fandoms, and I adore it for that. So it is an entire experience, and I honestly could spend hours inside that store. But since they were selling some manga, I of course needed to take this opportunity because they were having this promotion which was 3 for 2, which means that the cheapest one was actually free, and that's amazing. So I will quickly go through them. The first one I got was Spy Family Volume 8. I do also own volumes 1 and 2, and this is a series that I think I want to binge like in a day. I will dedicate some time and just read it from start to finish. People have told me that that's a very fun way to read this series, and I believe there's only either 10 or 12 volumes, I believe. I'm never too sure, but people seem to adore this series, and I think I'm gonna like it as well. So I will take a chance on it and collect all the volumes and then just read all of it. This has the found family trope, which is one of my favorite things ever. I believe it follows a spy who needs to pretend he has a family, and that's where the story begins, I guess. It must involve a lot of adventure and crime and mystery, but also family and friendship and love, and I seem to love that combination a lot. So I'm just gonna give this whole series a try and hopefully love it. Now, I also decided to get volume 1 of The Promised Neverland by Kayu Shirai, I think. And this, okay, I got this series because if you look at the cover, it looks absolutely adorable, at least in my opinion, but apparently it is one of the creepiest series ever. Or so I've heard. People are always telling me that this is the most deceiving cover ever for this series, and that intrigues me so much. I don't know what that means, but the fact is, I did look at a few other volumes of this series, and they're right. They look quite upsetting. But that intrigues me a lot. If this happens to be kind of a horror slash thriller series, that could be quite fun. So it's so funny to me trying to hear people describing this series without spoilers. They're always like, oh, you don't know what's coming, and I'm like, no, I don't, but I want to. And finally, I'm not sure exactly what I'm getting myself into, but if I can do it with Naruto, I'm sure I can do it with One Piece, which I think it's even longer than Naruto, but that's fine. This book includes volumes 1, 2, and 3 of One Piece. I really do not know how many volumes there are, but I know it's a lot, and the anime is quite long as well, of course. So when will I ever finish this? I'm not sure. But I thought this was a good way for me to see if I like the tone of this series. Again, I know it is supposed to focus a lot on friendship. Apparently this follows pirates or something. I'm not too sure. I have seen a few images, of course, and people talk about it a lot, especially now recently in BookTube. A lot of people are currently reading it and loving it. So I'm very curious. Again, I think it is my character-driven soul who's very intrigued by this series, because this is supposed to be all about their friendship, and apparently it also has some heartbreaking moments, even though it is supposed to be kind of a funny series. But I don't know, I am very intrigued. I have been meaning to read more manga for ages, and I was very happy to find this one. Now, because I went and saw the Phantom of the Opera and I kind of wanted a new edition of it, that's exactly what I did, and I got this one. This is the Penguin Popular Classics edition, and I have been trying to collect this whenever I go to thrifted stores. I'm usually very lucky to find a few of them, and this was there, and I think I'm getting the chills looking at it because I just love this story so much. The musical will always have a more special place in my heart for me because it was my first experience with this story. I actually saw the movie first and then the musical and then I read the book. But it is overall just a piece of work that holds a very special place in my heart, and I love it so much. I'm kind of getting emotional talking about it right now. Anyway. Anytime I hear certain expressions like the opera ghost or the angel of music or the curtain falls, it's an experience. It's very hard to explain, but I get very emotional talking about it, and I thought, you know, getting to see it live on stage and buying a copy of the book was the perfect combination for me. If you've never read the book or seen the musical, I'm not sure exactly which one you would like better because they are quite different. I would say just give it a chance and see how you feel, but if you don't like either the book or the musical, just try the other one because they are very different experiences, at least in my opinion. Now we've gotten to the most special book in this entire haul because it was a gift from Julsi, so of course it's my favorite from all of them, and it is none other, of course, than The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R. Tolkien. But this has a little dedication from Julsi to me and also some annotations inside, which she told me they are not intellectual notes, they are just little thoughts here and there that she has while reading the book. And honestly, that makes this gift, this edition, so much more special. This is a story that obviously means a lot to her, and now it also means a lot to me. It's something that we can always bond over, and again, she's the Frodo to my Sam, so this makes sense. And I'm looking forward to rereading this book, especially now knowing that it has some of her annotations, seeing her actual handwriting here, and knowing that there was this time where she flipped these pages and read this book and wrote in it. It's very special, and I'm very grateful. And I cannot wait to properly read it and experience it with your beautiful thoughts in it, which I'm sure some will be heartwarming and others maybe more on the funny side. But anyway, it is perfect. So thank you so much. I got a lot of fantasy books this time, which is exciting. The next one I got was A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to love this book. This was also thrifted, by the way. I got it in Camden Town, actually, at this beautiful bookstore called Boom Cat Books. It was stunning, and I had the most incredible conversation with a girl that was there as well. She looked at my stack of books and, and immediately started asking me, oh my gosh, what kind of fantasy books do you like, the authors, the genres and everything, and we just had the most lovely talk. It's so wonderful to just talk randomly with strangers about a common passion. It felt very special and I will never forget that moment. But anyway, I got this one. It was very, very cheap, and I thought it was a good place for me to start and see if I actually like this series. It's one of the classics, right? That's why I'm very curious to read it, but I know it usually has a lot of mixed reviews, so I'm definitely curious about it. I'm just not entirely sure what to expect from it, both in terms of the story and my actual feelings for it, but it's stunning and I'm definitely going to give it a try, of course. A bit of a break from fantasy, we now have a non-fiction that I have been meaning to read ever since it came out pretty much, and it is The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Haley Rubenhold. This book, I believe, when did it come out actually? 3 years ago maybe? Yes, 2019. When it came out, everyone was reading it and completely raving about it. It is probably, of course, a very difficult book to consume. I bet this will be terrible, but yes, that's precisely what the title says. The untold lives of all of these women who were silently attacked, I guess. It was hidden in plain sight, we could say, and that's obviously horrible and devastating, of course, but I am looking forward to reading it and see what sort of information it has and how it tackles such a terrible subject like this one. So that's the 5. I've actually been loving reading more non-fiction lately, so if you have any recommendations for me, let me know. Now I think both Milena and Lucy will be very happy about this one. This is a book that I actually already own, but again, they were having a promotion where they were having 3 for 2, so this one ended up being free, which is amazing, and it looks so stunning, so I needed to get it. And that's none other than Beloved by Toni Morrison. Look at that. It's so pretty. It's the Vintage Classics edition. I own a few of these and am absolutely in love. I think it is the same collection for the Virginia Woolf's books as well. It's so beautiful. And if we're talking about heartbreaking books, this seems very fitting. Apparently all of her books are kind of heartbreaking and emotional and touching, but I know how much both Lucy and Milena adore this book. So that's mainly the reason why I want to read it. Also because, of course, I do want to try some of Toni Morrison's work, and I believe this will be the first one. Otherwise, my friends will kill me. Speaking of my beautiful friends, we currently, of course, have our book pick for the Hobbitses book club going on, and this time it was Sarah's turn to pick a book for us, and she picked this one, which is And the Mountains Echoed by Khaled Hosseini. This is the same author who wrote A Thousand Splendid Suns, and I've heard great things about that book. For this one, I don't think I've seen any reviews recently, nor good or bad, just I haven't seen a lot of them. But I do get the feeling that this book will break my heart. Anyway, we are reading this book for the Hobbitses book club during the months of December and January, in case you would like to join us. It's about 2 siblings in a life of poverty and struggle with no mother to care for them. When their father sets off across the seas in search of work, the siblings are determined not to be separated from each other, but they don't know what this fateful journey will bring them. Yeah, it will be a bit of an emotional book, I can see. I'm really hoping I enjoy it. Sometimes with these sad books, I tend to have mixed feelings about it. It always depends on how the author writes about the story, but we'll see. I have hope, and of course it will be wonderful to buddy read it with my friends and with all of you who decide to join us. So if that's your case, please let me know. I would love to hear who's planning to read this book with us and all of your thoughts. Now, as for the final 4 books that I have here to show you, I'm gonna go in order of how hyped they are for me. And I'm gonna start at the end, so with the least hyped book, because I have never heard about it before, but it's called Little by Edward Carey. It is set in 1761, and apparently it follows a character who goes by the name of Little. She lost her parents at the age of 6, and now she found employment in the household of a reclusive doctor. But her actual role is about to change, because apparently the doctor wants to teach her the fine art of wax modeling. And then it says, Little traces the improbable fortunes of a blood-stained crumb of a thing who went on to shape the world. This is still very surprising to a few people, but I do love horror movies and I would like to read more horror books, but I never know exactly where to start. I feel like the most famous ones usually don't really intrigue me that much. So I don't know, this was a bit of a wild card. We'll see how it goes, but if you've read it, please let me know, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about it, but it just looks so intriguing to me. Moving on to the final 3 books, so we're going up on the hyping scale, I would say. The next on that list is The Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Tsujimura, which actually is also signed. This is translated from the Japanese by Philip Gabriel. And I saw this book being recommended multiple times in videos talking about Japanese books, which is something that I want to explore more. I am a bit fascinated, you could say, by the Japanese culture and literature as well, so I'm looking forward to trying this one too. I believe this one follows a group of people who find themselves in an unknown place, but they all seem to have something in common that links them, and all they see is a bossy young girl in a mask named Wolf Queen. It does sound very mysterious, and from my experience with Japanese art in general, it tends to feel a bit weird and surreal, but in the best way possible. I usually love it, and this one is always recommended to me. The premise sounds amazing. Oh look! Wait! Oh! Okay, at the end they do a few other recommendations. They have The Traveling Cat Chronicles, which is a book I absolutely love, and then they also have a book I'm currently reading and loving, which is The Forest of Wool and Steel. That's a good sign if you ask me. Second to last on the hype scale, we have of course Pets, and I also already own Bitter. I think Bitter is the prequel, but you should read this one first if I'm not mistaken. Please do correct me if that's wrong, but I think that's what I've heard. Milena recently read both of these books and really enjoyed them, and I am very curious as well. I got this one at this bookstore called Gaze the Word, which I know is very famous in London, and I finally got to visit it with Lucy, of course, and it was amazing. It is such a cute little bookstore with so many different books there, and of course I wanted to get some. I just wanted to support them. They even included a little bookmark, which is great. But yes, I saw this one there, and it has been sitting on my wish list for way too long, so I thought this could be a good opportunity. It is stunning as well, all of these covers. This is beautiful. But it says, there are no monsters anymore, or so the children in the city of Lucille have been taught. Jem and her best friend, Redemption, have grown up with this lesson all their lives. But when Jem meets Pat, she begins to question what she's been told. Pat has come to hunt the evil lurking in Redemption's house. That's intriguing, for sure. Okay, so now, for the most hyped book of them all in this haul, we have none other than The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Dark Academia and I have been having a bit of a tough relationship recently, but I am currently trying to film a video dedicated to Dark Academia, and of course, whenever you mention that, the first book that comes to mind all the time is The Secret History, but I have never read this. I have, however, read and didn't really like The Goldfinch by the same author, but I believe this will be a bit different for me. A lot of people seem to appreciate it, even if they don't necessarily love it. I do know it follows very morally grey characters who do some very questionable things. Yes, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum experience of their contemporaries. So there you go. Of course, this is a staple of the genre, and I am very curious to see what I'll think about this one, because I'm not entirely sure. I'm really happy that this is a favorite for so many people. That's amazing, and hopefully I will be able to say the same. We'll see. But that was the final book on my list. I am very happy about this book haul, of course. It has been a while since I bought so many books, and it felt very nice. Especially being in the place that I was with the company that I was with, it made it for an even more magical experience, and I'm very grateful again for everything that I was able to do while in London. And again, thank you, Lucy, for everything. If you're watching, I am very, very thankful. But of course, with all that said, as always, I would absolutely love to hear if you've read any of these books, if you are planning to read them, all of your thoughts, if you like them or not really. Please let me know all of that in the comments. I always love hearing all of your thoughts about the books that I mention, or anything else. Of course, let me know how December has been treating you so far. I really hope you enjoy the videos that I have planned for you. Hopefully I will be able to upload all of them, even though it's a lot and my schedule is looking a little crazy right now, but I'm gonna do my best, and I really hope you're having a magical festive season. Of course, I am wishing you all the best, and of course, as always, I am sending you all the love, all the hugs, and I will see you again very soon on my next video. Bye everyone!